Let's do the intro.
You said that you want to do it.
Okay, guys, we are back on the full swing. Good afternoon. After so many times, we got to join again by Mr. Peter Ukurt. What's up, Pete? Nice seeing you.
Nice
and
to see you.
we have back our producer, Mr. Enrico Bocca di Fuco.
What are we paying for,
Poco,
what do we pay our producer for?
Well, the producer has got things that we don't know. It's a secret. Okay?
What does your shirt say?
The shirt says Upu, means the octopus in Parisian.
Did you make that yourself?
No, but I saw it and I...
You bought that shirt.
You paid for that shirt?
How much did they charge you?
13 euros.
Mamma mia, you got...
That's 13 more than I would pay.
You got robbed.
We are here to talk about soccer, guys, okay? So let's go back and let's start with...
it's not even straight, the poop.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a little bit sideways.
But it's
too much on the right.
It's standardized and you can eat it raw, just like that.
Did you negotiate with the guy?
Oh my God.
He just paid him in full.
That's the
Mr.
fun part of it.
They started at 10 euros, he went to 13.
Mr. Producer, cut everything. Okay.
Pete, we haven't seen you yet this season. We did our round one podcast last week. We just finished the Inter match. How you feel so far about the start of the season? Doesn't have to just be Inter, but in general.
Yeah. First off, this is the greatest time of the year. Whenever you have the soccer coming back, it's better than Christmas. Come on. No,
I mean, it's better than Christmas.
Christmas is pretty nice. Christmas is nice.
Yeah.
He's saying it's a better gift than Christmas.
It's better. It's the time of the year. You know, people get happy about Christmas time and stuff
but you're getting married near Christmas, so you got to be careful with that one.
No, you see.
I know, so
Don't
close
get
to.
We're gonna have so much fun. Oh my God!
Anto, what are you gonna do?
You're gonna have to tie my hands behind my back.
Can we start that now? Wait, who's gonna be the best man?
My brother.
Boy.
Well, no, between us three, like for real, who's gonna be the best man?
Pick Antonio. Come on. Look at him blush. Look at him blush.
He'll be my valet.
I can be the flower.
Come
girl.
No one's
the
gonna
ring
want
boy?
to see that.
What is the ring bearer?
Ring bearer.
The
You're the ring
what?
bearer.
The what?
Walking down.
I would never
Walking
trust
down
him
the
with the
aisle.
ring. He would eat it.
I will take it. I'll sell it on the black market
For 13 euros.
Yeah, hey, Black Friday before I'll sell it. That's it.
It's true.
I can see, yeah.
Makes sense.
So let's start with Inter. Marco had a good points. What do you think about the game?
You want to go
Paisano?
Another back-to-back 2-0 wins. Nice and easy.
Listen, so far so good. Definitely, gaining the confidence. We still have a lot of new guys coming in, but for the most part, the starting lineup, aside from Sommer, Thuram, is the same guys that we've had already for the past 2-3 years now. Inzaghi's third season, so I'm excited to see what's gonna happen this year. Still maybe question marks if we want to look into the nitty gritty. The number 9, Lautaro looks amazing, but Thuram's yet to score the 2 games. But even having like dangerous opportunities, I haven't seen that. It's okay not to score, but I want to see him more aggressive. I was talking to you, watching the game, and I feel like you mentioned his game is to come back and
Thuram,
and come in and support. But we need somebody that's going to, add depth to the team. We need somebody, especially with his pace, to run in behind the defenders, get the ball in those areas to then be able to score. Take a man on, beat him 1v1, and score. So not to really be too harsh on him. It's the first season for him, first 2 games. There's still a lot of time to go, but that's one thing that I would say for us to really look into.
How come Frattesi's not starting yet?
I think, listen, Inzaghi, he's done this in the past where he's kind of giving, the precedent to the players that have been there last year. So Mkhitaryan especially, thanks to him, we went on a run within, to get into the Champions League final. So I think it's a way for Inzaghi to say, hey, Frattesi, you're going to be the next guy in, but you got to just be a little patient, take your time to get in to the team, and you'll find your space. Especially, there's going to be a lot of games this season. Mkhitaryan is of a certain age, so there'll be time for Frattesi to come in and win his spot overall. I think that's definitely going to happen. We've seen it done last year with Onana, with Handanovic. There was a big question mark. We didn't start off so great, so then obviously Onana was quick to win the spot, and then we sell him the next year for the amount of money, and he proved to be a leader for the team last year. So
he's not looking so good at Man United these days.
That's a good news
Man
for
U is
going crazy.
It's tough.
For real, you know what I was thinking?
Tough piazza.
Who went to Manchester United in recent years and got better?
Nobody.
There's not many players that got better.
Even Ronaldo, when he went back, it was a major flop.
Yeah,
over
but
there.
it was different.
Oh yeah, that's not. You can't
I
blame.
don't know about
Actually,
major.
started
He
to
had a
get
lot of
better when
goals,
Ronaldo
though.
left. Believe it or not.
But I'm just saying, like, when you try to think about a player who really went there and got and like improved their game and up their game.
Bruno's a big one.
All right,
No, that was a big step.
But one
right?
player.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't track every play, but that was the first person that came to mind. Yeah, right now it's a toxic environment to be at Manchester United for
They're
sure.
still in the growing phase though with Ten Hag. But whatever, I know. Different story for another time, but whatever. That's one thing that I saw. I like Arnautovic better though, as like a focal point, as a real number 9. For me, he's technical. He's got the ability. He could do the hold up play. He likes to create for his teammates, and yeah, it's great that Thuram does that. That he does a little bit of the dirty work. But Lautaro kind of likes to play a similar way too. He's not one with Aria. He's not right there in the center the entire game. I feel like Arnautovic helps the team a little bit more.
And I wanted to ask you. I think I brought this up last pod or one of the videos we did. I think Arnautovic brings a different dimension than Dzeko does. Do you feel like he's an upgrade at all, or the key differences between the two? Like what you see between the two of them?
We'll have to see.
Not
what
career
happens
wise.
this year.
No,
Not
no,
career
I'm
wise.
just saying as a player.
As a player,
Yeah,
yeah,
as a
no,
player.
but I mean,
Yeah, we're not
even
talking
as a
about that.
player, forget about the career. Leave careers alone.
Yeah.
Dzeko scored goals. The past 2 years, he scored goals, clutch goals. Times when Lautaro wasn't scoring, Dzeko would score. Versus Milano in the derby, in the Champions League, he scored. So there's a.
Thanks for the reminder, by the way.
Was he at that derby?
No, he wasn't at the first one.
Just
the second one, you were there, but didn't turn out so well for you either. But
Just a question.
Dzeko scored goals. We knew what we were getting. Arnautovic with Bologna, he's done well. Last year was a little bit of an injury plagued season.
Also didn't get along with Motta.
Yeah, so difficulties there. He's a guy that, the ball in his feet. He's a magician. He knows how to create. He's good at holding up the ball. He sees the game in a certain way. So I think he adds a different level of a game or a style than Dzeko. But Dzeko is your pure number 9, and that's a position where, even adding Alexis Sanchez, Arnautovic, Thuram, nobody's a pure 9 out of all of those.
You don't think Arnautovic is a pure 9?
No. I think he's played that position with Bologna, but he's not a pure 9.
At this point in his career, for me, he looks like a 9.
Okay, but a pure 9, meaning a guy that's going to be in the air, that's going to win every header, that's going to go in and be that target striker. He's not that type of player. When you have to throw 100 crosses in, is Arnautovic the guy that's going to head the ball in? He can do it, but he's not the guy to go after. I'm like,
So what do you classify him as? What's his position? What's his real position?
8.5.
8.5.
Oh, his number is an 8.
8 out of 9.
Federico Fellini, 8.5.
8.5.
No, he's going to play that role, but what I'm getting at is the target striker, that big guy that's going to.
So do you think that you still need? I mean, you got a couple of days left. You got until Friday.
No, but I think Inter made the decision that they're not going to go after a number 9. They're going to go after that defender right now. Pavard is still in discussion.
Which you need.
Yeah, we do need, but listen, let's not. De Vrij, that guy last year was kind of missing in action, but I think now with the contract renewed, he feels his place is solidified within that team. Acerbi, we know what he did. Darmian, no matter where you put him on the field, maybe he could be the number 9 because the guy is legit. He's a jolly. He's gonna find a way to play well in whatever position. And then even Carlos Augusto, don't forget. With Monza, he also sometimes played in that third man defense. Di Marco also can play in that third man. So we do have some variables, but obviously, without saying, Pavard adds another level to that Inter defense.
Sure.
So who's going to be taking Pavard is going to misplace who?
Skriniar.
Yeah, we'll take Skriniar's place, but Darmian in the 11 right now.
I got to tell you something.
upgrade.
I have to be honest with you. I mean, the first 2 games, they don't really say much. I mean, you played Cagliari and you played Wales. You played before Monza.
Yeah, but
so
that's actually where Inter slipped up last year, though. Was against the smaller teams.
But Marco, that was during almost with the season already.
But look at Lazio and look at Roma.
Look how he discredits Inter.
Well, no, I'm not
Lazio and Roma,
it's
they
not
could
an
have
indication.
1 and 0 points after 3 games.
Right now, it's
These
not
are the
an
ones got a
indication
team.
for any team. A lot of teams are rusty. A lot of teams they change a bunch of players.
No, I think it's indications, though.
Well, Well, listen, you play Monza, you play Cagliari. For me, I see Inter vulnerability only on the back line, regardless of Pavard. Believe me, this summer is not Onana. Okay, number one. Number two,
He's still a good keeper.
He made a good save today.
Number
Good
two,
keeper.
your 3-5-2 is not going to work out all the time when you play teams with the speed like AC Milan, like Juventus, or like I don't know. Let me guess. Now Roma, that is they're getting Lukaku. That would be a nice good idea. Roma's got speed on the wings too. So I like to see the way you guys gonna fare against those teams that they use the speed of the wings.
I feel like they're very
But
well
this is-
balanced.
this-
though.
listen,
The midfield is second to nobody.
Even their backups, the backups in the midfield are amazing.
Yeah, but
this Inter team managed with those teams with the speed. So this is a team that went to the Champions League final. There really hasn't changed much, except for that 9 position. And Skriniar, to be fair, since January we didn't have him. So even that back line is the same back line that we had until
You have more
the end of the
depth
season.
too.
let me make you the list of the stuff that you're missing.
Yeah.
You're missing Zeko. Zeko to me is
100%.
Zeko is just as good or much better than
the nine.
Arnautovic.
The 9, that's right.
Okay, you're missing Zeko. You're missing Lukaku. Okay? Skriniar is gone. 1 second. Skriniar is gone. And the fourth one, which I had it on my head.
Brozovic, Onana.
So your midfield.
Brozovic was practically lost his
listen,
spot.
Still,
at
he
a
was the
certain
best
part from
player
Hakan.
in Inter for the last 3 or 4 years.
After a couple of years, but not last year.
Let me tell you something.
Hakan, I think, had played better in the regista role than Brozovic did in the
Cuadrado is
last year.
the biggest ditch. Cuadrado and Frattesi, you make up for the loss over there on the midfield. But defensively, I think even with Pavard, you're not gonna plug that hole.
I
It's the
think
same defense,
I think
Pablo.
defensively we're the same defense that went to the Champions League final, and the same defense that's going to be able to hold its own even with the tactics that we have. And like I said, De Vrij I think is going to add to this team, and maybe Pavard, we'll see. The biggest weakness is that number 9 position, to see if somebody can step up into that role. Maybe even Lautaro is going to play a more advanced role when Alexis Sanchez is with him.
He's got to keep doing whatever the hell he's doing. Lautaro,
he's amazing
Because
right now.
he took
He's
the
on
captain's
fire. He's on
armband,
fire.
3 goals in
He's
2
good.
games. He's amazing.
He's a real.
Yeah, but Marco,
But he loves his streaks, though.
Marco,
to be fair,
listen to me.
Lautaro.
That's what we have to
Do you
look at.
actually think that Inter needs a pure number 9?
No.
They're coming from all over the
Yeah,
places.
I don't think they do.
Frattesi takes a shot, Lautaro takes a shot, Barella takes a
I
shot.
think they make up the
Di
goals in
Marco
so
takes
many
a
other
shot. They make up
places.
the
That's
goal
the least
for,
of their
from
concerns.
all over the
I
place.
think that's
Those
the least of
people,
their
they
concerns.
are all strikers in a way, because when they reach the outside of the box,
Inter's biggest problem, it's not going to be on paper for me. It's just how you deal with motivation in the smaller games. You lost 12 matches last season.
Yeah.
And when you look at the teams that they lost to, they were drawing against Salernitana, Sampdoria. You were losing, especially games that you should never have lost. It'll come down to that, because that's not a quality issue, right? Maybe it's a little bit of rotation. But I remember
mental.
Bastoni
It's
just
mental.
giving an
Coaching
interview
issue,
saying that
concentration,
it's
right?
our motivation in these smaller games. It's easy to get motivated for the big moments, but the smaller ones, there's more of those games to lose, and that's in the end what's going to win you a
That's mostly
Scudetto.
for coaching too. I mean, Conte didn't have a problem with that. He always had that motivations thing, so I don't think it's, and practically the same squad from Conte's era to Inzaghi's era is very similar. So I don't think it's based on that squad. I think it's just the mentality from the coach.
So I
than
think
anything.
last year, yes, you cannot lose 12 games,
That was
but
bad.
the run in the Champions League and the fact that Napoli won the Scudetto, it almost felt as if Inter were complacent and were focused on that Champions League run. Because even the Napoli coach Rudy Garcia mentioned it, or whoever, Sarri, they all mentioned the same thing. Like Napoli last year, nobody was catching them. So like even Sarri made second place because Juventus, Milan, Inter, these other teams, they were focused.
But you also dropped points earlier than that.
Yeah,
than
we did.
But it was early on.
But we lost.
I remember you guys started the season before the first Champions League match against Bayern Munich. Yeah. I think you lost 3 or 4 games, which had already equaled to whatever Conte had in his last season.
Yeah,
but in the beginning, we lost versus the big teams.
Okay,
because that was the issue too.
We just kept losing.
We lost these games instead of tying the games.
Gotcha. I get what you're saying. So
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
all right.
sense.
Let's talk about Milan, because Milan's another team. Let's go with the teams that are all winning, that are perfect up to this point in the Serie A, which is not that many.
Not Lazio.
Usually we start with a lot of teams just all winning their second game, and it's very few at the top. And Milan is one of them. And I'll say, out of all my expectations, Napoli, I knew that they were going to start off like this. Inter, I knew that they were going to start off like this. Yes, I'm surprised by Lazio and by Roma. but Milan are probably the biggest talking point, I think, in the league right now, because obviously we know the whole story with who you sold and who you brought in, but the chemistry that your new signings have made already, we knew quality-wise. It's understood how good Pulisic is, how good all the other players, Reinders was, Loftus-Cheek, but the way that they gel together already, that they understand Loftus-Cheek is going to make the run in, when to come back, Pulisic's movements in, who overlaps him. For me, that's the most impressive thing about this Milan, is the way that they've gelled already.
Too quickly, I think.
Yeah,
It's a little scary how quickly they did this. Like they played each other for years.
Well, listen. At the beginning, my only worry was that maybe it's going to take time for them to carburate and starting to
Carburet. Wow.
What's
I'm gonna
carburet?
look that up.
Can you search that word out? Carburet.
Carburate
What does that mean?
means for the engine to starting to go full power.
Understood. Okay.
Okay, so they proved me wrong. So in other words, you said that Reinders and all of those Loftus-Cheeks, and let me tell you something.
Loftus-Cheeks.
AC Milan right now, when they bring the subs in, they bring them in just to slow the game down, because the game has been put in away. What I have seen right now, that is the difference between this year, the first two games. I mean, we cannot really say much. Pioli is now waiting for something to happen, or for AC Milan to go down and bring the big guns in.
It's not a word, right?
That
I
is
didn't
not
think
a
so.
word.
Okay.
That is not.
Keep going.
I like how Peter
We're gonna
added
make
to it, so
mistakes.
made
In
it.
Italian, carburare means get to the.
But you said
get
it in
to
English, or you
power.
said it in Italian?
I said it in English. I think I make up the word, so
Yeah,
you can add that to the vocabulary.
Carbonara
Gotcha.
came up.
The
Carbonara.
Webster Dictionary of English, you can add to carburate to means to get up to power.
Okay.
In your
Anyway, to make a long story short, I like what I see, okay?
Uh-huh.
And
A lot of carburation.
I like my American innest over there, innesto in Italiano. I like
Another made-up
Pulisic.
word.
Wait, what?
Another made-up word. What is this?
Injection. An injection. It's like a syringe of American pride. We got
Bald
Pulisic, and then we got even the other young kid that he comes in on the
Musa,
second
yeah.
half, Musa. I like it. I like
What do you
I
think? What do you think
see.
about Pulisic?
Pulisic? I think
Another goal.
Well, listen, Pulisic is not something that we discover right now. We knew what we were getting. The fact that he's scoring already and is on full speed. The only thing that I don't want Pioli to do is overusing him. He should have subbed him when he's subbed Giroud. He subbed everybody else. Sub him. You're making him run.
It's because Leao came out.
Yeah.
Leao got injured, so he moved sides, and they brought Chukwueze in. Otherwise, I think he would have done what he did last week.
One more thing that I wanted to say, that I'm so happy. We lost Tonali, it's true, but this Reinder, oh my God.
He's good.
This guy is the real thing. This guy, he runs twice as much. His work ethic, it's like box to box. It's not somebody that has a limited action like 3/4 to 3/4. Box to box. He comes and defends, and he's always taking the chance. He's been unlucky when he's taking the chance. He's shooting on net, but at some point he's gonna start to score. I think this guy here, it's more than what we expected. I mean, everybody, we knew what he had already, but the way he's been playing, he took that midfield, he took it over.
I read that he ran, I think, 12.8 kilometers, which is like seven and a half miles.
Oh, God.
Which is, and I think Tonali was averaging around 8 kilometers, which I'm not saying that, just based off what you're running, but I think it does go to the story. He's been amazing. He's been one of the best midfielders so far, and I think he looks like he's got the potential to go far. He also rarely gets injured too. He plays a lot of minutes. He played a lot of minutes last year. He looks extremely fit. But that's also the story of what you guys did. Your summer was making the team a lot more physical, and you got that. Loftus-Cheek is a big boy. He's huge, but he also makes the darting runs in. He was probably the best player on the pitch, I thought, for Milan when they won.
Last thing again about AC Milan. AC Milan right now, it's difficult to comprehend, to understand how they are playing. I don't see Calabria playing defense, even though he should be playing on the right hand side of there. Calabria is not playing defense. Calabria is almost playing a midfield, and it's always attacking. Theo Hernandez is now on the far left. So Theo Hernandez it's almost another added midfield. So AC Milan is technically playing with the 3 defenders most of the time. So I don't know. Maybe it's going to be game to game. It depends on the who we're going to be facing. But AC Milan Milan has got a lot of weapons. They're not easy to guess anymore. The way every time last year we forced our the play to Leao and all the stuff. Now we got options all over the places.
And now I wanted to ask you, do Milan have a weakness that you see? I know it's early on, but if you had to pick something that they can strengthen
right now, I would say I like to see an additional defender.
A center back?
A center
You
back.
got Pellegrino, the guy Marco Pellegrino.
I haven't seen the kid yet, but from what I hear, it's a great player,
His
physical.
idol
and,
is Sergio Ramos. He likes to be physical, get it
if
in on
this
a
guy here,
attacker.
If this guy here wants up to be one of the not the best, center, somebody that is going to just plug that hole that we have. I don't trust that much Kalulu and Kajer. No, it's just Kajer is the age. Kajer can come in as a sub, but you cannot really rely on somebody like him. Yeah. And Kalulu to me is a right.
I think Milan tactically, they have a lot of flexibility in what they can do. Like you said, last year Milan to a certain extent were very one-dimensional. Mm-hmm. Leao, Giroud, those were the options, right? Then we're even talking about a Milan team that's missing their best midfielder, Benacer.
Oh yeah.
So
I forgot about that.
The fact that this team is gelling already is really positive signs. I think the oppositions that they play, Bologna and Torino, are well-coached teams. Bologna gave a lot of trouble to Juventus. Torino, we know the physicality and all the other part of their game. And it's just something really great to watch, for Milan and for Serie A to have these guys already coming into a league and enjoying the football and playing a great game. I even saw things, as you mentioned, like the defenders being able to be a little bit more mobile and transform into midfielders. Look at Chao.
Yeah.
Chao made a darting run from the center back. You don't see that very often. And then being able to kind of play this Dutch total football.
They're much more attacking this year.
Theo Hernandez, he did it last year too, but right now he's playing with what's his name, with Leao over there, and it's just it's becoming like who do we have to worry now? Do we have to worry about Leao? Do we have to worry about Theo? Do we have to worry about somebody else coming from the other side? AC Milan's got weapons. We have loaded guns. At any time that we are ready to explode.
But we
have loaded guns, man. Piontek. No, not like Piontek. Piontek was a loaded gun that it used to just...
blanks. He shot blanks.
With no ammo.
It got stuck all the time. The trigger didn't... it got a...
Carburate.
Yeah, no carburate.
The carburate.
But anyway, I like what I see.
But I will say, you did make Bologna look easy. I think that's definitely true. You made them look like they were not going to be the same as last year, but then we saw what they did against Juventus. The only thing is, I will reserve still the judgment on Milan just because of the defense. I'm scared when you play a team that attacks and has the speed, you risk a lot of numbers going forward, which is great. They're a more attacking team. We love to watch it. It's fun. It's fluid. They're tough to mark, everything that we said. My only thing is when you got Kvara, Osimhen, Politano, and a few other players going at you, how do you really find the balance within a game? That's not saying that they're not going to do it well, but that's still the reservation that I have with this Milan side.
I got news for you. I'm going to give you the answer. The midfield of AC Milan, it's a spectacular wall.
But they push up a lot.
I know. It's a spectacular wall, but don't forget. Of the three centers that we have over there, they're Chao, what's his name, Tomori, and...
Kier?
Kier came as a sub.
Kalulu?
Yeah. We have Krunic all the time. He's the stopper. Krunic is the one that holds all the defense together, and he's the one that instead of playing midfield, is not a box-to-box player, Krunic, but he's the guy that he takes the game and he starts. It's like hey, everything comes from me, and then everybody's starting to move. When
that's
Krunic
why Pioli
just got the
kept
ball.
him.
I like Krunic. I hope they don't sell the guy. You told me once it's already done at the job with that.
And then Pioli said no. Even though they got 10 million for him, which they wanted to accept, Pioli decided that they wanted to keep him.
To me, I said it many times last year, to me, is one of the key players that AC Milan to go further, where it's going to be on the Campionato, on the Champions, they need Krunic. Krunic, no championships.
What do you think about Pulisic, by the way?
Because
Because you didn't get to say anything about him last week.
No,
the effect that he's had.
No, Pulisic is a great player. I mean, we know already what he can do, and he's only had difficulty with Chelsea because of, I think, the price tag kind of heading, putting over his head, the injuries, and then Chelsea just being a state of confusion every year now for the past 2-3 years. So you're in a place where you don't know if you're in or out. You don't know what's going on. Then it doesn't help when you're getting these injuries. So he needed a fresh start. Milan is a team that was desperate for this right wing. He's played that position in Borussia Dortmund, and he's a guy that can create, that's going to play those simple passes, highly technical, and he's got speed. He's not afraid to take a man on. So this is a player that can really add to the attack of Milan. Biggest thing is the injuries. And just being able to, like you said, maybe you have to manage his time a little bit better, get that opportunity to get the most out of him in important games. And then listen, Milan, they have to. We'll see what adjustments they make, because obviously these are the first 2 games. There's a lot of games left over. Like any team, there's injuries to manage. There's things to manage, and adjustments made when you're versing different opposition. But I think even potentially that team, if they were to sit back and be able to break on the counter with a Theo, Leao, Pulisic,
maybe in Champions League,
they're scary, very scary for me. So listen, it's going to be a good year this year. It's going to be a very good year, and we didn't even talk about
Napoli.
Last year's winners, and everybody's kind of, no one's talking about them, but I think they deserve to be talked about. Because
here's your moment. Go. What you want to say?
But wait, before you go there, Pete, I see Cardinale's signature over there of bringing. I think Cardinale is the one that said, I want a Pulisic and I want this guy here, Musa. I see him saying, hey, listen, it's a PR stunt, number one. It's America coming into Serie A. And I want to see those guys do well, and so do I.
From what I've heard, these players were identified as improvements that they needed within the team, and the way that it's been explained to me, it's determined by the price that you end up spending for them on the American. Now, obviously, he sold, I think, 45% of their jerseys within the USA. He's the second most jerseys, but that comes after the player, right? Pulisic, the player, is great. Him being American is sort of the bonus on top of it for their marketability, and we're already seeing it. Number one, the fans in Italy are loving him, but the ones over here, Americans, are obsessed and are watching Milan and are buying his jersey and watching the games just for him.
He's the number 10 of the U.S. national team. You see what's going on now with Messi and MLS. Like, there's soccer fans here, not to take it off tangent, but the MLS, what they're struggling is to get the soccer fans to watch MLS, right? And that's what Messi is planning to do, right? What MLS is planning to do with Messi. Pulisic is a guy that all the American soccer fans are watching, and they're invested in Serie A right now. And I think as far as players are concerned, they're valid players and great, excellent players. Obviously, the American part does play a part in decision making, I think. But player wise, they're where it's at. I mean, Pulisic is at 30 million. Inter's about to get Pavard for 30, 10 times better value with a player in Pulisic position.
So, what do you want to say about Napoli? What do you think that nobody's talking about?
No, nobody's talking about Napoli. Everybody's talking about the other teams and the moves and stuff. But Napoli guys are able to keep Osimhen and Kvaratskhelia. I know Kim left, but let's not forget that center back position. I think we've seen it, whether it's Koulibaly leaving, whether it's Skriniar not playing for Inter. That's a position where you can make up and find ways to plug holes. You can't plug a number 9, and you can't plug the MVP of Serie A last year, Kvaratskhelia. And that guy hasn't even played. He played 20 minutes, and he already, within 5 minutes coming in, he gave the assist.
He looked exactly like his old self.
Oh my God, he's amazing. Listen,
exactly like his old self.
He's the real deal. If anybody needed confirmation of what he can do, listen, this guy is legit. There's no way that you can do something that you did last year and not be able to replicate it. The biggest thing is injuries. Fingers crossed. But Osimhen also is an unbelievable striker. That's gonna he's like foaming at the mouth every time I watch him play. And that's the energy that you want to see in your number 9. Di Lorenzo, the guy, we always complain about his touch and everything else, but he's always in the right position, always making that defensive tackle or making the right cross or the right pass into the box. The team, I don't think,
with a lot of confidence.
I don't think they lost anything. They really kept a lot of their players.
I mean,
except for Kim.
that's
And
a
Rudy
big one.
Garcia plays pretty much similar style. Like, I know he wants to play a little bit different. He wants to be a little bit quicker, maybe a little bit less focused on just passing for passing's sake, possession, be a little bit more vertical. But Di Lorenzo, I think, has been probably the best player over the 2 games. Even the way that he inverts into the midfield and he opens up space. Osimhen, it's without saying, 3 goals already to start the season. I think it's great that he is foaming from the mouth and he's hungry to score, but then he also has the selfishness that he's able to give the penalty to Raspadori to take, which hindsight, okay, not a great idea, but he's trying to be a team player, even for Raspadori, who didn't get a lot of time last year. But it just shows you, Osimhen at Napoli, like, I love everything about the guy. Like, everything he does just makes you so happy. On and off the pitch, he's like the perfect example of what the great player that he could be. He's the face of this league. For me, he's become that. And the fact that he's already started this scoring off without Kvara in the first game, he finds ways to score goals. He's unbelievable.
But the teams, Marco, go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, the players do look the same, but only time will tell to see when they do have that first challenge, that first hurdle, how Rudy Garcia is going to make up from there. So, yeah, great start. I think there was a lot of question marks. People saying, oh, Kvara's finished. People figured him out. At the end of the last season, maybe he was was going a little slow. But when Napoli get their first hurdle, I want to see how they come back. Because last season, with Spalletti, I think, did a great job of coming back after a speed bump or 2. And
the Inter game right in the beginning of the new year.
Exactly.
That's the one that I remember very vividly.
So what you got to see with Rudy Garcia, I wasn't convinced with him when he signed because I think he has big shoes to fill with Spalletti, who did incredible last season, who I still think they should have paid him the money to stay, but regardless, let's see. Time will tell.
I got to be honest with you. It's going to be difficult for them to repeat what they did last year, Napoli. And
competition's better too.
Competition is better, but I see that Napoli. I mean, Osimhen is going to score his 20 goals easily, 20 plus. So, but it's technically you are 1 year older. The wine, the older you get, the better. But don't overplay your hands because a lot of teams they watch the tape, they study Napoli. I'm sure they're gonna.
You can watch anything you want with that guy.
I have news for you. They're not gonna be walking all over the opponents that they did last year. AC Milan gave them hard time just to put it.
You guys are a good team, so what do you expect?
Well, Inter giving a hard time. Inter is better this year, I think. Mm-hmm. With all the people
better
that they lost,
all around.
It's going to be better competition.
One thing on what Mike was bringing up, and you brought it up as well with Kvara. Obviously, love to see him back, but everyone talking about last year, how he dipped towards the end of the season, and they say he figured it out. For me, we have to take perspective of what this guy is. It's the first time he's playing in a top 5 league. He had such a long season. Fighting for the Scudetto, fighting in Champions League until the semifinals. He's never had to play with this sort of competition for that long of a time. It's normal to have your dips. It's that first year. So for me, he only is going to get better with time. He had double digit in goals and assists. He's spectacular. You can't stop him. You double team him, but Napoli have the resources to be able to play in other ways as well.
Listen, the intensity of Serie A season is unlike any other, like obviously the top leagues and whatever, but when you're making these long runs into Champions League and the Serie A, you're gonna feel it. Eventually, you're gonna feel it. I think yes, teams are gonna make adjustments, but at the same time, if he's an intelligent player, which you know he is, he's gonna also make his adjustments. So these are things that come with the experience and being able to understand that the more comfortable within a league and what you can and can't do. And to be fair, that whole Napoli team kind of dipped towards that end of the season.
Fatigue, I think, too.
Even
the intensity and
you catches up to, and I think they had that blackout versus Milan. They played them at the wrong time, right? For them, it was in the early of the season. The Champions League final was in let's say in December. They would have won the Champions League even if they versed Manchester City. That's just where Napoli were at that point. Coming back, I think also last year they always had that cushion. So even mentally, when you have a cushion,
you have a little bit less.
A little bit less more pressure. So this year, when you win, winning creates a behavior, creates it's a habit now, right? So the interesting thing, I think, the biggest question mark is not so much Kim and the defender, but Rudy Garcia and what he can add to this team. Can he make this team better? Is he able to tactically match what Spalletti did last year to win the Scudetto. And it is going to be harder. Now you have, the target on your back. Everybody knows you're the champions and we have to beat you. And then Inter, Milan, even Juventus not playing Europe in Europe is a major advantage for Juventus.
Well, if
to be able to
if they play the way that they played against Bologna,
but it's
it
the beginning.
won't
It's
matter.
the beginning.
And you guys like to say that for Juventus, but when it's Inter and Milan,
I have to be honest with
but
you,
they were
Marco.
they were awful.
I watched the first two games of Napoli. For the first 20 minutes, they were not,
I mean, Napoli scored almost in 1 minute with Raspadori.
If you're talking about the match against Frosinone,
yes, it's the first game.
I didn't see that kind of a
Yeah,
fluidity.
but
and all
also
the
they-
stuff.
I think
Toward to the end of the
guys,
game,
Antonio's right.
toward to the
Against
end of the game,
Frosinone dominated the beginning of the match.
they had a lot of chances. The defense, for me, it could be a problem for Napoli because they played this tempo. They're too far up from time to time. You get somebody with speed, you're gonna get hurt over there. So I haven't used. Let's wait and see. They only played two not really, mediocre teams.
Okay,
It's just-
Frosinone beat Atalanta.
Hello, English. Okay. So
What's up with your boy
Lecce,
Gasperini?
How do you say Frosinone in English?
Frozen on.
Frozen.
Frozen.
Anyway, Lecce beat Roma. We have Lazio lost against
Genoa.
Lose to
Lecce and also
Hello. So what I'm saying to you
English.
is Napoli is gonna have to work harder to try to match what they
Okay,
did
let's
last year.
go on. Let's talk about Juventus. 1-1 against Bologna, a match which from the start, we all got excited about how they started it against Udinese 3-0, Chiesa, the tactics, Magnanelli, all this talk, and then it kind of went out the window when you're at home against a Bologna side, which I think that Milan made them look worse than Bologna were, because there were talks before. Thiago Motta's upset with the transfer market, blah, blah, blah. And they could not deal with the rhythm. They couldn't deal with the press that Bologna were handling. Bologna was really well equipped at building out of the back. So when Juventus tried to press them, Bologna were so good at moving the ball because Thiago Motta is good at that they had no way to cope with it. And Juventus kind of they went into a spin cycle.
They looked confused.
They lost themselves. Nobody stuck to the original plan.
I said for the first game when Juve played fantastic and won, I said this team doesn't look like it was coached by Allegri, but this team the second game over here looks like
We went back to the
back to
12-1.
Allegri, back to Allegri. But it was really strange. There was a lot of complaints. Who should have got a penalty? Who shouldn't have gotten a penalty? But just watching it, just that style. How could he do such an incredible performance? Then looking like a completely different team. And I feel like we talked about a lot about Juventus, like Jekyll and Hyde performances, hot and cold. Listen, they're not in Europe this season. So there's no excuse to not comfortably finish in top four. And if they really don't finish in top four or in danger of the last few match days trying to fight for it, they got much bigger issues than we think.
Mike, that's the reasons why the Allegri. This is the pressure. I think there is some sort of a equalizing factor over there. Yes, you're not playing in Europe, but now you have the pressure to win. Okay, because there is no excuse when you're not playing in Europe. So the fact that I think Juventus is going to be a little slow in carbureting. All right, so it's going to be.
The team is basically the same though.
That's what I'm
They
saying,
shouldn't
which is
need time to
crazy.
carburate.
That's true.
Weah and Cambiaso are the only
but Marco,
new
now
additions in the
you have a
team.
Chiesa and Vlahovic both healthy
But
and ready to
Well,
produce
they
and
have
do what
chemistry.
they're
They know each other
supposed to
since
do.
Fiorentina,
know each
so
other.
I don't think it could be used as the excuse of chemistry.
No.
It looked like they faced a little bit of difficulty tactically. They went up against an Udinese side that's not as well managed as Bologna's side is, and they couldn't really adapt to that. And also they didn't get into the match at all. Like it is true. The chemistry amongst a lot of the players, I don't think it has to do with not playing each other, but so many things were off. Locatelli was a nightmare. For me, I keep saying, I'll repeat it a billion times, he's not a regista. He should not be put in that position. He's much better as a mezzala, but whatever, we move past that. But even the simple passes, Rabiot, I mean, lacking simple things that Juventus were trying to do that they couldn't do. Even Federico Chiesa, who was maybe the best player of the last week, was off. Everybody was truly off in this match. And Alexandro is slide tackling Bremer in the back line to allow Ferguson to take 5 touches inside the box and slot it in.
Listen, the Juventus fans take
How's Alexandro
no
so good?
hostages because they were already whistling in the first game. This is supposed to be a celebration, first game of a season at home, and it was the complete opposite. So I feel that even though there's chemistry, it's not a problem about chemistry. It's a mentality issue. And this Juventus team needs a string of good results to be able to fix that. Until that happens,
even an ugly game, right, Pete?
Even an ugly game,
results. Yeah.
You have to win. And until that happens, you're going to have these yo-yo performances, unfortunately, because the stability of this team is lacking. I don't know if it's because there's no real leader within this team. Who is the
Danilo.
Antonio Conte?
Danilo is the only one.
I don't know, but
that's not a leader.
He is the only one. Yeah, Danilo's a great leader.
I think he's a leader.
Danilo's
I'm
a
not
true
saying
leader.
he's not a leader. I'm just saying
No charismatic figure.
Yes, he does.
Danilo.
I disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not arguing Danilo is or not, a top leader, but just I feel like the team overall doesn't have that confidence yet, and it's still early on the season, and we could be talking about a whole nother thing. Because guess what? How good Milan has been playing and how good Inter has been playing, they're gonna drop points this year. It's a guarantee. This is a season 38 games long.
But why don't they have the confidence? For you,
I think there's a lot of pressure on these teams already. Vlahovic last year wasn't scoring, blah blah blah. He got 2 chances to freaking do something, and he put both of them away. Okay, he got a goal disallowed, and then he scored his goal. Chiesa, he has these hot and cold games.
Yeah.
The defense, one mistake, everybody's starting to whistle. Locatelli's got a target on his back that already the Juventus fans do not like him, do not see him.
Well, he went from being absolutely loved to
but
not
that's
performing.
Unfortunately,
And look at the way Arthur is playing in Fiorentina.
And 100%. 100%. If you're a top player, no matter what, you're gonna play.
Boy.
But this team right now is lacking confidence, and whether it's Allegri preparation in the match and what he's able to get out of these guys.
Thiago Motta outcoached Allegri in this game.
Listen,
Thiago Motta completely outcoached Allegri.
This is the reasons why Juventus did not come up with the results. But exactly what Peter said before. Thiago Motta took the game to Juventus. They were not waiting for Juventus and do what they were supposed to do. Thiago Motta, he planted all the stuff, and he said, "Hey, I'm here to stay on the midfield of Juventus." He gave them hard time,
even without the same quality too, which
and
is
he didn't
special.
let Juventus play because Juventus they probably had a plan, but what's his name? Thiago Motta out coach Allegri, but not by little. That's why he was furious. This guy here, his plan didn't work. They said. Rumors are that Allegri over-prepared for this game here.
I don't know if he over-prepared.
Thiago Motta took him out. He just, boom.
Also, a couple key players for Bologna because they deserve credit for the way that they played. They're really great at playing as a unit, and I think Thiago Motta showed that when he kicked Arnautovic out of the squad. He said, okay, maybe technically you're the best player in the team, but you don't want to work with the rest of the 11? Bye-bye. The 11 is more important. And Ndoye, I think is how you pronounce his name on the right wing. He was everywhere. He was spectacular. He's a new signing. He's brought in. We don't know too much about the kid. He's playing against Juventus in Juventus Stadium, and he looked like he had no fear. He was so calm, and the way that he fought for everything, and he probably definitely deserved the penalty kick on the one where Iling shoves him completely. But just performance-wise, I think he was great. Even Zirkzee, who, again, not really traditional number 9 in terms of the hold-up play, but he did really great work. Ferguson, he had 7 goals last year, Ferguson, from the midfield. He scores in the Juventus Stadium, but so calm and composed when he gets inside the box to put the ball into the back of the net. So really spectacular from this Bologna side, which for me lacks a lot of quality in terms of if you want to get better than last season. I don't think that they can. But they're still so well coached.
Bologna as a unit is a real unit. That's what you call it, a unit. Okay, Bologna plays as a team. They just all together.
Thiago Motta, don't forget, Spezia. He was able to keep them up for the second year. So already, he has that experience. That team, that Spezia team in the past 2-3 years, they were not anything special. Italiano did it, Thiago Motta did it, and then the third year they went back down. So he's an extraordinary coach, and he's being able to create something with Bologna, with also Giovanni Sartori, who was the director at Atalanta during these past years that they've been able to get into the Champions League and so on. And then also before that was with Chievo Verona, bringing them into the Europa League at the time. So you have the right group behind this team, that are able to identify the project. Listen, they probably, because of budget, because of what money they have available, they're not going to push more than middle of the table. But with someone like Thiago Motta, maybe you get into a little run and you can push that 8th position.
It's going to be a little tough.
It'll be tough. It'll be very tough.
Because you got Fiorentina. I think the Fiorentina is
Roma
above
now,
them.
yeah,
Torino.
Roma.
Well,
Yeah.
Roma's
a disaster right now. But
Roma,
but
Lazio.
just quality-wise,
Yeah,
pure
it's tough.
quality,
It's tough.
Roma's gonna go above
Yeah.
Bologna. You'd
They'll-
imagine, even though
Yeah,
Bologna this week. Roma this week. My gosh, what a disaster! Another disaster from them. How do you? I know Mourinho's not on the sideline, but now the first match we said, okay, Dybala is not there, Pellegrini is not there. Salernitana Candreva scored 2 amazing goals, which they barely. I think they only had 2 shots on target, maybe, and they conceded 2 goals. But then, how do we explain this? What they just
Rui
did this
Patricio
weekend?
to me is a disaster. That goalkeeper, I mean, he comes up with a beautiful freaking saves, and then he makes stupid little mistakes, like you take the ball and then you're supposed to just put the ball on the side.
He's
even
awful.
when-
Rui
He don't do
Patricio is
things
the kind
like
of
that.
keeper that when like a
I am a
shot
better
comes,
goalkeeper than that.
You're like closing the one eye because you're not sure. It should be safe comfortably, but you're not really sure if he's gonna blunder.
Even
or
Mike
not,
is
or-
better goalkeeper than
I
Rui
appreciate that,
Patricio.
Anto. That's good.
Yeah, that's
But
not saying too much.
I don't know, Roma. Yeah, I mean, it was the Belotti show for the first round, but how much could you really depend on Belotti to be the savior for Roma? We gotta be realistic in a sense. Also, yes, hopefully Lukaku looks like he's gonna come.
Lukaku's not going to save them. Lukaku's not going to help them defend like that.
Not defend, but if he puts in a couple of goals, he's efficient. Mourinho knows how to talk to him. He could be on fire over there, and I think that'll be exciting. And I think that's something that Roma could use, especially for Roma that lacks confidence. I feel like it's easily agitated, and I feel like at times they're their own worst enemy.
Why? One question, just for you guys, for the group. OR came in, and for me, he's the most
very
technical
good. Very
player.
good.
He's one of the best players. I really
Very
like
good.
this kid. He scores after 8 minutes, something like that. But just the idea, you're playing against Verona. Fair, okay, you're playing against Verona side who likes to attack you, who did well in their first opening match. But also, do you really need to play Cristante and Paredes together instead of
That's
Paredes
true.
and OR or Cristante and OR? Why you need both of those guys in the same place in the midfield is just my question. You're not playing Napoli. You're not playing Inter.
It's not needed.
Why not try to take the game to them?
Mourinho doesn't like to experiment a lot, man.
Mourinho is another boring guy to me that he
He
plays
sticks to
almost
his
the
guns all the
Allegri,
time.
Allegri
Too much.
system. It's just too much.
There's
too
certain
much.
players like Cristante, Gagliardini. These are even Krunic. There's these coaches that they like they like to know that what they're gonna get, and it's gonna always get.
I
the
know
same
what you're
thing.
gonna get.
That
So
consistent.
I'll tell you what you're gonna get.
That's what they
You're
want.
gonna
So
get your ass
you get a
kicked
consistent 6
if you play like
and
that.
you know what you're gonna have. So I think his Roma team, even with Renato Sanchez,
Thank God we didn't
Yo,
get
already injured.
I know.
Yo,
Thank God we didn't get him.
already. Roma's playing against Milan.
Was high on this guy. You remember that, Mike?
Roma's playing against Milan on Friday, which they tied the first game against Salernitana. They lost their second game to Hellas Verona. Their third game, they're playing against Milan, who look amazing. And right now, at the moment of time of filming, Renato Sanchez is not going to be there. Dybala's not going to be there. I mean, but
Lukaku's gonna be there.
But what's going to happen?
No,
what's
but
going to happen?
Dybala, unfortunately.
But Lukaku's going to be there.
You just said what Mike just said.
Oh, Mike.
Great minds think alike,
There you
right?
go.
Also, speaking about great minds, you guys got 2 black culture hats, and we got 2 blue culture hats.
I like
Anto, where
this
can we
color
pick them
combo.
up from, Anto? Where can we pick up these beautiful capellini from?
Do we have the subscription?
Do you know what our website is?
Yeah, of course he does.
IFTV? What's that? What is this?
He knows, he just doesn't remember.
Listen, I just don't go, and I'm not good at social media. So if you tell me, I will be a parrot. I will repeat exactly
Okay.
what you're telling
Tell
me.
the people to
Tell
go to
the people,
ItalianFootballTV.com.
Hey, you go to ItalianFootballTV.com
.com.
and
You
look at the
click which
hat. You can pick up a blue. You can pick up a black. Any
Maybe
other color.
both?
Or
Maybe
pick them
both.
up both. Okay.
There's a good color
And if you-
combo, black and blue.
Yeah. No.
He didn't realize.
Oh. But
think-
don't get confused. This is not an Inter promotion. It's a black and blue, but it's an. Why don't you make a red and black?
These are not about the teams. They're just
Oh,
nice
okay.
colors.
This is for
They-
Italy.
Guys, for me to be wearing a hat, this is a great hat. I don't like to wear hats, so before the podcast, I said to the kids, I said, hey, kids, what happened with my hat? I said, but you look good without a hat. No, I wanted a hat. So
There we go.
just get it because they're flying off the shelf.
We
Those
only
guys,
have a few left.
yeah. So those guys, they abandoned us while we were watching the game to go to the post office to put the 700 hats already through.
For you guys.
Mike, what happened if you sold out in the next couple of days?
Too late.
You're not
That's why
gonna
they
get
can
it.
It's not
quick.
going to last a couple of days.
Yeah,
it's probably
it's
going to
not-
last another day. By the time they're
But
watching
this
this
podcast probably going to be.
Yeah, it'll be by
if
the
not
end of the
sold
day.
out, very close.
So
to.
are you going to bring more in or what's
Yeah,
the deal
we'll
with
see.
that? So
They-
again, go
once
to
they sell out, we'll find out.
ItalianFootballTV.com.
There we go.
Just the hats are
Link in the
at bottom.
description, yeah.
Look on the
On the
description, look on the merchandising, right, Mike? And then you can
Thank you,
grab it,
Antonio.
so.
All right, let's get back to
Nice.
the show.
You guys are talking about Roma and stuff, right?
Well, let's just finish real
Let's go
quick.
Fiorentina.
Wait,
No,
let's
wait,
just
wait.
finish real
Finish
quick with
Roma,
Roma, though.
finish Roma.
Let's not
Okay.
move on.
Yeah.
I know you're going to transition to Lazio with
No,
the
I
Roma.
wasn't.
No,
I wasn't.
Oh,
Fiorentina.
what were we going
I
to
wanna go
transition? Are we going to
Fiorentina.
transition to a different team?
I was going to talk about Verona.
Oh, no.
Go,
Hold
go,
on.
just
Finish
go.
with the Roma. The only thing you mentioned about Allegri and Juventus, Roma and Juventus are so similar to me in the fact that they defend, right? And people say, oh, defensively they're solid, right? But they don't actually defend well. What they do is they defend the numbers. They have the 3 in the back, they drop the 2, but they don't defend well. Individually, they're not great defenders, and that's always going to be their Achilles heel.
Once you go down, it's difficult to come back.
For me, the game is evolving, and unfortunately, the ways of Allegri and Mourinho seem to have been left in the past. Because that's what we're looking at right now. I know Mourinho, you can say, hey, he brought us to the Conference League, he brought us to the Europa League final. You know, by all means, he's a proven winner. But at the same time, if you look around the different leagues and even within Italy, the coaching and the team's way of playing,
Yeah.
it's a whole nother
Changes.
game plan. No longer do you see the smaller teams just sitting back and defend. They're going to go
Even
after you.
Frosinone.
They're going to try to
Even
play
Milan.
the game. They realize that it's no longer just sit and wait.
All right, trivia for you guys. So, in the Serie A, we have 20 teams. How many teams have Italian coaches?
Hellas Verona,
Okay, you got name
Inter. Oh, I got to think.
on the top of your head. You're gonna.
I'm just guessing how many.
What do you guess?
Maybe 5?
It's fine.
I didn't even think. I didn't even
How many?
It's
count.
got to be
Come on.
11.
14.
16.
Shit.
16.
Wow, I'm off.
Torino, Roma,
No, Torino has
Napoli.
Juric.
Yeah, he's not Italian.
No, he's saying the
not
I'm
non.
saying the
Italian?
one. No. So
He's saying
that's
the non
it's just
one.
quicker for me to
he's
just
just-
say
yeah,
that.
I
Not
know,
Italian.
I know.
Yeah, it's easier to say 4 than it is to say 16.
Well, you start saying it's this or that one. I said,
Oh,
what the
that's
hell?
obvious.
No, that's why I
I was about
said
to
it
say,
like
what
that.
are you talking about?
Yeah, so Torino, Napoli, Roma, and
Salernitana.
and Salernitana. Those are the 4.
Shit.
Yeah. But that's to show you the level of coaching that we have. Even De Zerbi, who's at Sassuolo, he goes to England. Yo, I saw Roy Hodgson say that he's
one at the top
he
of the
become
world.
one of the greatest managers. It's like ridiculous, the coaching level. So maybe you have some merit. And the thing that I would say, I love Jose Mourinho. I really love him. I think that he's really good in a certain system. Like, I think he does great to improve the mentality of teams. Tactically, like when he has a great team, he can make them get over that hump. The only thing is, like, expectation should match reality, right? So like where the Roma team is, where they can't really sign players, usually you kind of got to do like Thiago Motta, where he builds up the game more than the players at his disposal.
Unfortunately, Roma fans, you know, they expect the same thing as Juventus fans, Inter fans, Milan fans. And if it's bad up there, Roma, they couldn't even pay for a transfer this year. You know, everything
to
had to
beg
be
for free
free
transfer.
Yeah,
transfers,
that's
these little loan option to buy, these little things like that. That's the state of Roma right now. So at that point, you know, it's like coming to a realization like, hey, we need to scrap what we got and try to build a younger team that's going to be energetic and is going to create something. But when you have Mourinho there, you're obligated to win. So even
Obligated?
yeah, you're obligated to win. Even for Mourinho's standards,
They're nowhere
he's
near.
not-
They're nowhere near. Okay, question.
But
Question for.
I'm not saying Serie A. I'm saying maybe another Europa League.
What are you
Question,
talking
question
about?
for you. They get Lukaku. Does that change anything about
No,
where their season ends?
not to me.
Does that change them making top 4 to not top 4? Forget about Scudetto. 'cause that's-
Abraham is more dangerous than Lukaku,
Well,
to be
Abraham's not
honest with you.
available
I
until
know,
the
but
new
that's what
year.
I'm saying.
Okay,
So Lukaku,
but does
only if he
Lukaku
plays
does
with
Lukaku
Abraham.
take them from not being a top 4 team to being a top 4 team?
No.
No.
I don't
There's
think
no
so.
way, Pete.
No, I wouldn't say no
There's
way.
no way. Inter, Juventus, Napoli, and Milan are much better on paper than them.
But if
much better.
even
Lazio.
They're a
You
50
think
point
Lazio-
place team.
But
Lazio, they didn't
With
have
that, okay, but I'm
Okay,
just saying
relax.
4.
No,
I'm
I
saying
don't think
4.
so.
But they're much better than them.
Do you think there's no even if Lukaku absolutely
No.
goes on fire like
No.
this Inter form?
Atalanta.
Not even that.
I really don't.
Atalanta
Not
is
even
better
that.
than Roma.
I would be shocked.
Atalanta is better than
I would be
Roma.
absolutely shocked if they got into top 4. And forget about the people. I saw an Italian journalist put, "Can they win the Scudetto?"
No,
Are
no,
you
no,
serious?
no, no.
Is
I
this a
saw
joke?
that too. I saw that too.
You
I said
just
that too.
said you're not on social media.
No, I saw that on the Gazzetta. I saw that
maybe
on
it
the
was a Gazzetta
Gazzetta. I don't
journalist.
go to social media. I didn't even know. I don't have it.
That's for me. That
I don't
is
have social media.
outrageous.
I want to say outrageous.
Outrageous.
It's unlikely.
With that defense.
I would say
with
unlikely.
with the defense of Llorente, Smalling, and
But
Mancini,
listen.
and Rui Patricio, you are never competing for Scudetto number 1.
Okay,
and for top
okay,
4,
we're not talking about Scudetto. Top
that's
4.
still so difficult.
It's
no,
unlikely.
no,
It's
Mike.
unlikely. But if Lukaku,
What's your percentage? What's your percentage? If Lukaku goes off, let's just say all things go great. Lukaku goes off. What's your percentage of them getting top 4?
Still not. It's very unlikely.
Okay, what's the percentage?
35%. They go.
Wow,
It's
Mike,
high.
you must be
Still really
smoking
high.
something. I don't know.
I'm just saying if Lukaku goes in the form of a lifetime, which is unlikely, and it's still unlikely to get top 4. I'm just saying.
I would love to see them challenge
For
there. I would
Roma,
love it, but
for Roma, if everything lines up the right way and they're starting to really, get into the groove and starting to win a bunch of games, I give them 20% chance.
how do you teach them how to defend?
20% chance.
Confidence, bro.
How do you
But
stop Rui
confidence.
Patricio from making these sorts of
Confidence.
mistakes?
20%.
Confidence builds, makes
I
you
don't-
into a better player.
Well, confidence can make you do a lot of things, but it's not going to improve you that
Marco,
much.
that 20%
I think it does-
chance,
it does-
it's-
Unless Ndika comes in and becomes amazing, but
that's what I'm saying. That 20% chance is given to the fact that maybe Lukaku and Abraham,
That's
when he
what
comes
if-
back, they're going to start to put a
and
lot
by,
more
and by the
goals,
way, this is
and they're
before
gonna-
2
they're
games. For me, this idea is way before 2 games. This is before the season, is
Yeah.
where it's not based off the judgment that they have 1 point. Anyway, let's move on to Lazio. Oh, you want to say something about
I
Verona?
just
Sorry.
want to say Elos Verona, 2 games, 2 wins. Yeah, they're still going to be fighting to stay up. But I just got to give credit to Baroni. The one against Empoli, tough goal towards the end, and now holding against Roma. These early games, especially for relegation teams, to get an early start like this, 6 points that you expect them to get 6 points over 15 games or 10 games or whatever the case
You got to get
is.
40, right? That's a magic number in Italy.
Well,
Yes.
it changes too. They said for the Scudetto, Napoli got that, and they said,
I think that's what they.
With
But that's
the
like what they
asterisks,
quote,
with an
right?
asterisk,
They always
yeah,
say
yeah.
40.
If you're
Exactly.
I remember
40 points,
because Allegri said, "Oh, we got
safe.
40 points." Even
Yeah.
with the minus
You're safe.
15.
But and this is without Saponara starting, and I think when Saponara, if he goes in the starting lineup, it's gonna be interesting. But keep an eye on Verona and Baroni because I think they might do something interesting.
The other team to keep your eye on, I was going to transition to Lecce just because
Wait,
they beat.
P was gonna
Lazio.
say something, I
Sorry.
think.
No, I was just gonna say before you say Lecce, because I think that'll be a
For
transition.
Verona, right?
Baroni kept Lazio up.
Lecce,
up.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
All right.
Mike,
We're talking about you.
You don't even say real
Close
words.
to my body, please.
Carburetor.
Baroni kept Lecce up, and deservedly he's gotten this Hellas Verona team to a fantastic start. And this was a team that they didn't spend much money this year either, and they were about to.
I had
to
him as
tank.
first manager
So-
sacked.
So I think
yeah?
Baroni is done
Nope.
great. And
Who
even
was yours?
I didn't.
We
didn't
did.
say
We recorded the video,
We didn't
yeah.
say manager
Yeah, we
sack.
did.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did.
Not bad.
Oh, you see,
bad.
those guys are sneaky.
he did it with
those
somebody
guys.
else. This guy.
Yeah,
Maybe
he did
they
it with
were
somebody
on
else.
mic.
Yeah, I didn't
No.
say
He's
this.
cheating on Mike.
When we did that video with the 3
No,
youngsters
we did
and all
other
that
stuff.
stuff.
How many
It wasn't
margaritas you got yesterday?
Can I check
Mike?
your notes?
Oh, check that. Oh, he takes notes too. Let's see,
Type in
Mike.
sack.
I'll type it in. I'll go to the
Okay,
note that
anyway.
I have.
It's any Greek player playing in Verona because Mike all of a
No,
sudden.
No.
it's because
What's
their
their
name
name?
Hellas.
Hellas.
Oh, Hellas. There you go.
That's why he likes
Hellas is
Verona.
Greek, right?
Yeah. Should we talk about Lazio?
Yeah, let's do that.
Another disaster.
About this the maestro that he takes the first year and then what happened with this maestro, Pete? It's
Damn, so I did sack.
I think Sarri's a little caught up on these trasferte that he's got to play all these big teams instead of just swallowing the pill and say, hey, we're gonna work hard, we're gonna do it. Stop complaining and consider winning versus the 2 opponents that you should be winning against, and you end up getting 0 points. So now you're even in a higher. The mountain keeps on getting bigger and bigger for Sarri. You lose Milenkovic Savic, who is massive within that
Best
team.
player.
Okay, and things don't look too good. I don't know what to expect. I think he's gonna get his mouth is gonna get in trouble. And
so what does that tell you about the greatness of a coach? So this guy here, it was technically relying on Milinkovic-Savic. I'm sorry that I gotta put it on the floor, but hey, a players like that, it can make a big difference. I mean, he always made a big difference for Lazio. It's like about winning and losing. That guy is the brain of the midfield. Him and Luis Alberto playing together. Him and Luis Alberto, they're 40% of what the team needs.
And their replacement, Kamada, hasn't looked
They don't have.
Yeah.
They don't have.
Listen, Lecce, they should have won that game. They were winning 1-0 for the whole time.
They messed that game
They had
up.
a complete blackout and whatever. Even the game that they lost, they had all the possession. They were creating chances, but nothing solid. And then the bottom line is you have to win. In Italy, it's about the 1-0 win. Even if you play terribly, you won. You got the job done. And that's something that Sarri, we know, he has his perspective and his style of playing. But what I don't like is the complaining. Oh, this is not a probability. This is done on purpose because we, last year, this year. So I don't know what he's trying to get.
And they're not in Champions
Everybody's
League,
got to play these games. Just play them.
That's a good point.
And do what you have to do. It's not an easy start of the schedule. But you had these 2 games to get 6 points, and you didn't get.
And Mike just reminded, Napoli and Juventus are their next 2 opponents.
Away.
So they already have the 2 losses, which is wild to consider. The general game looked like a trap game, though. I'll be honest. It was one where I saw everybody talking about this game like they're going to win. But Genoa, they didn't look good against Fiorentina. But Gilardino's team is tough.
Thank you, baby.
Once they scored, they parked the ball.
Genova was not defending. They were going up. They were just countering a big time.
And they also have Malinowski. They got Malinowski, baby.
Yeah, they got
That's a big
weapons
one.
over there.
I think Gilardino's just a good coach. I just think Gilardino's a good coach.
How did Genoa get Malinowski, though? Let's be honest. No other team would. Come on, no offense to Genoa, but he's a great player. No?
Who would you?
Maybe
Juventus would have used somebody like that instead of.
I don't think he's there.
No,
he's a different kind. It doesn't fit the system. But I'm just saying. Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying, right? Don't you think
It's a strange move, but I guess the time in France didn't work out.
To be honest, I don't know enough about his story. Like, I don't know what happened in his move to France. I stopped following after he left Atalanta, so I don't know the whole backstory of how they were able to get him. But either way, I think that we said Genoa would look good. But either way, it's a lot about Lazio. Yeah. I mean, 0 points to start the season in the first 2 games, and okay, if you start the season slow, but you're playing against the best teams, okay, understood. But you really risk against Napoli. I don't know how they're going to win. Against Juventus, maybe you get some points, but that's a really, really slow start.
Yeah,
and before you even start the Champions League campaign, which we know how Maurizio is, when he gets this European competitions, is the mentality that comes out, and things are just not clicking. Defensively, they're not as solid. They had the best defense in the past, and now the defense does not look the same. So it's a lot of different factors of poor performances. But yeah, you're not going to go crazy. You don't want to start ringing the alarm bells. But the fact that you lost to those teams is what scares me about this Lazio side.
Can we get very quickly a brush up on Fiorentina and Atalanta? Because I have personally invested in Atalanta because I want to Catellare.
He didn't start again.
Well. I don't know
why does Gasperini not start him and Scamacca?
Give him time.
Yeah, that's
what time, bro? I mean, Zapata's been pushed out the door the entire summer, but then he doesn't start.
I think Gasperini moves slowly.
Yeah, he's very slow.
There's no. He does well though. There's a lot of success under his
They lost
coaching.
to Frosinone.
Yeah.
You lost 2-1 against Frosinone.
Stop thinking a small picture. Think overall picture. Think bigger picture.
What does that have to do with? What's the risk of starting Scamacca and De Catellare?
Maybe you want to have the same team from last season and then slowly integrate them.
No, Mike,
I think
are you
that's what
kidding
it
me?
is.
No.
Why?
I think
because look, it didn't do well against Frosinone.
You know how I am on Gasperini, right? To me, he's one of the best coaches that we have in Italy.
Jumped the gun way too quickly.
But yeah, I will start definitely De Catellare in light of what he did in the game before. And Scamacca needs time. You don't want to plug Scamacca half an hour or 20 minutes before the end of the game. Scamacca needs the time.
But even Lookman hasn't looked the same too.
Lookman is not the
second part of the season.
Zapata was about to be subbed and then he scored the goal. He kept him an extra 10 minutes. But Zapata, up to the time that he scored, he was not that effective. You
also,
know what
the
I mean?
goals that they concede are kind of crazy. Frosinone played amazing. They played amazing. Like the way that they played against
I know
Napoli.
they're going to get a couple of Juventus spectacular player. I'm not sure why you guys are giving up on these kids over here. Sule is a great player.
They have to.
What do you mean they have to?
They have to because they didn't sell.
monetize?
Yeah,
How
because
much
they
money
didn't
they
sell
getting for
Vlahovic.
Sule?
I don't know exactly.
Oh my God!
But that's
they
the
got a
reason why
long
they
list.
sold
They got a long
Rovella. They
roster.
sold. They tried to sell McKennie, but they still haven't found a shooter that he's both happy with.
Ealing
But either
would've
way,
been
it's
a
not
good
about.
one.
It's not about them. Frosinone, they kept up with the momentum. They kept up with the momentum, and to beat an Atalanta side, it's again difficult. I just thought
Lecce,
Atalanta.
no? What did we say?
Frosinone.
Yeah, Frosinone.
What did I say?
Atalanta.
You said Lecce.
No, the second game where we were saying to it was.
So
go ahead.
I just expected something different from Atalanta defensively. You know, Kolasinac is there. I thought physically they'd be a little bit stronger. So that's maybe my one little gap or the one thing that surprised me.
Few big defensive mistakes committed by Atalanta because I watched the game. So because my tennis partner Mirko, he said to me, I said, hey Mirko, today De Catalare, if he starts, he's going to score again. So De Catalare played only 20 minutes. So now he's going to hold it against me because I won my first bet. I said, hey, watch CDK is going to score. Sure enough, he bought me coffee and a croissant over there in New Jersey.
Have you realized born body player too, Khediras?
Yeah.
He's playing there now.
Yeah.
Are you going
That guy
for him?
scored a lot of goals. The guy scored a lot of goals for Bari. The guy, we saw him on the World Cup too, playing
He was
for
so
Morocco.
bad in the World Cup.
Yeah.
What?
He was so
bad.
bad
He
in
missed
the
so
World
many
Cup.
chances.
He
He
missed
out of-
some
out of
wild
his
chances.
league.
I don't remember what it was.
He should have got them to the final.
Yo, the Perez messed it up for Morocco.
Oh my God.
He should have got them to the final.
Yeah, that was awful.
He had some bad misses.
How about Fiorentina? Fiorentina looks good. I mean,
They
despite
look good. Did you see what they did?
Well, despite
They
the
threw the game
tie,
away.
they threw the game away, but they had a lot of chances.
That was another trap game. You know what we should do? When we do our previews, we need to say what's the trap game. Which is the one that, okay, not a certainty, but everyone thinks that Fiorentina, oh, you're going to run away with it. Lecce did. They turned it around against Lazio. They're very good at doing that. And Fiorentina, Italiano was complaining so much that they're not finishing chances.
They
They're
have
not
a lot
finishing
of chances. They create a lot.
But also, when you're
Fiorentina.
2-0 up, sometimes you need to manage the game better that you don't allow them to get back into the game.
Yeah, and Anto, your boy Banda.
My
Like you say his name.
God. Banda,
that guy's
Banda.
a horse. That guy's
I
like
like
a
him.
horse.
I like him.
Once he's like,
Can we sign him for the
Loose.
national team? Marco, is Italian. Can
good.
we sign him for the national team? We already played for somebody.
he's from Zambia. Let me see if he has his apps over
Maybe
there.
we give him a passport. Don't you know somebody that does passport
Strefezza, I think, is Brazilian too, right?
Strefezza.
Yeah, I
Strefezza's
think
Brazilian.
Brazilian Italian.
I like him.
Brazilian,
I like
Italian?
him.
Yeah.
Oh my
No,
God.
Anto,
Played with
sorry,
Spa
he already
for a
played for
while.
Zambia. Yeah, but he's 22 years old, man. He's gonna go to a
last
big
year
team.
was a
I saw a
very
thing that
impressive. He's gonna go to a
Lecce
big
had the
team.
most, after round one, Lecce had the most dribbles out of all the teams, like more than Milan. I think Milan was second, but they were first. That's their
fun.
style,
They're
though.
fun. They're
like,
fun to
you know
watch.
Strefezza, you know Banda. I thought with Koeman they were going to lack a lot in the midfield.
Me
too. After selling him, because I loved him in the midfield, but they actually haven't. And to get this result against Fiorentina, Fiorentina should have done better. And like you said, they should have finalized their chances.
should have put
Then
the game
Arturo
away. They
loses
should have
the
put the game
ball.
away.
They mess up. And Beltran, if he, sorry, not Beltran. Who Sotil. Sotil didn't lay the ball off, and for me, Sotil is not a
was a
not a
mistake.
good player.
That was a mistake.
For me, Sotil is not the level. I watch him even in their against Rapid Vienna. He does the same. He's so predictable to me. He frustrates me every time I watch him play. They have better players than that for me.
Yeah, and Di Francesco's there. Shout out to his son.
Listen, I think with Fiorentina, just cap it off. What I think with Italiano, because he got caught already in the final in the Conference League, where he has his style and he lives and dies by it.
To it. Yeah.
And listen, you have to be able to manage a season. You're up 2-0. You gotta change your approach every once in a while. You have to be able to milk the clock, get the ball moving, switch up the game, because you cannot play. And this has been a problem with
That
Fiorentina
tempo
for so
all the
long.
time, yeah.
You can't play 90 minutes the same tempo. We've seen it even last year. How many games they drop points in the or goals get in
Yeah,
from
within the
winning
last 15, 20
positions.
minutes.
Maybe you
So-
could, but they're not. I think Fiorentina is really good, and I think they have improved, and I
Yeah.
think they're going to start clicking, and they're going to get
Oh, yeah.
a high position. And I'm not saying that you weren't saying that,
Yeah.
but they're gonna. The thing is, maybe Italiano with a team that has like if you got world class players who are on the money, who are killers, who are cold blooded in front of the net, maybe that works because you'll run up the score. But I guess what you're saying is with the current squad that he has, with the Fiorentina side, with the way that Serie A plays, with a Lecce side who gets back into games late, he should have managed it better.
I think so. I think any coach, you have to be aware of what you have in front of you, and even the arrogance level has to be able. You have to drop and say, "Hey, what is our objective? If our objective is to get into, I don't know, the Europa League, right, or top positions within the league, then these are the games that we have to be able to manage these games. We cannot drop points, and that's the part I think he's still needs to develop. But again, if you score another goal, 3-0, and now all of a sudden you're talking about a whole different conversation. Everybody's gonna be like, can Fiorentina win it? It does,
One other thing about Fiorentina, a lot of people talk about how they sold Chiesa, how they sold Vlahovic. I was very impressed that they didn't sell Nico Gonzalez. For a team like Fiorentina to reject 45 million for a player like Nico Gonzalez shows a lot about where they're trying to go, but also, and which is the thing that I love most of all, and I respect this a lot, and Sassuolo is doing it with Berardi. We're giving you a day. You don't buy this guy, you don't buy him at this time, we're not going to ruin our team by selling last minute in the Mercato if we don't have a replacement ready. Whether that's the idea or whether it's not, but I love that hard line of in or out. We're not going to jeopardize our team. And I see that a lot. And that's also the fear that I have, even with the Juventus side, who could sell last minute, if they get a big offer, that they're willing to hurt their team. But it says a lot about Fiorentina as a club, that they've grown to the point where they can reject 45 million for Nico Gonzalez, where even Jose Mourinho said Roma would never be in the position to reject 45 million euros for a player.
No, you mentioned Berardi. Is Berardi still on the radar of Juventus, or what's the deal with that? I mean, how the hell Sassuolo plays 2 games without Berardi, given the fact that Berardi...
He's pushing for a move.
I know,
but they don't want to sell him.
It's going to be too hard.
The player.
It's going to be too hard, I think.
Guys, anything else? Anything else that we missed? Any other good storylines?
Not that I know.
We missed the podcast. We missed being here, and now finally we're back. So the producer is back. Is back.
Monza won 2-0, but except that the score,
Colpani,
keep an eye out.
He's a big
for
boy.
him.
He's like 6'2", but he's like got good feet. Interesting player. Yeah, Bastoni's already trying to pull him to Inter. You saw?
He's 184 centimeters. Ando, do you know what the conversion is?
6'2".
180.
184.
184.
Fast.
6'1".
I said 6'1".
6'2".
6'1".
I said it before we looked it up.
A little bit.
184 is almost 6'2", 6'1 and 3/4. I am 6'2", so
6 or 6.0. Yeah, 6 foot.
All right,
If you round it down.
Thank you everybody for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Ciao ragazzi.
Ciao guys.
All right.